All right, so here we are. So find the equation for the hyperbola. Yesterday I gave the practice exam to the other pre-calculus section I'm teaching that's right after you guys, comes in at 11 o'clock. I noticed, so I can give a tip of something I noticed that would be helpful to them when you guys take the practice exam today and especially the real exam Thursday. You know, all these parabola, hyperbola, ellipse questions, it's always best to draw a picture. That's what I kept noticing as students were coming up asking me questions. Sharon, I can't get this one, I can't get this one. They'd have no picture. You just, no way you can just look at those things and somehow, boop, out comes the equation. No way. So I know it's confusing, though, because it doesn't, well, actually, this one does say graph, huh? But a bunch of them on the test won't say graph. You know, it'll just give you the info, and it'll say, what's the equation? A, B, C, D, you know, and have the options. And so I think it confuses students, and they don't realize you really always need a picture. Picture worth 1,000 words. 1,000 points will change the saying. It's true. Pictures are so helpful. So on every one of these problems, I would draw a picture on all these hyperbola, ellipse, parabola. So, okay, so here we go. So over 3 up 8. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'll put one of the focus points. And over 9. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 up 8. Another focus. Over 3, over 9, both up 8. And the vertex is 8, 8. So it's right there. So these guys are all on the 8 line, aren't they? Mm-hmm. They're all up 8. This one's over 3. Whoops. This one's over 9. This one's over 8. Y'all with me? So that's just super helpful. No way we're going to answer this question without doing that. Just staring at the 4 options and hoping for the best. That's not going to work. So, all right, so you got to draw a picture. Got to draw a picture on all these hyperbola, parabola, ellipse, all these ones. Okay. Now it's a hyperbola. So remember, hyperbola means 2 branches up and down or right and left, always faced away from each other. They have a negative relationship, negative in the middle. Okay. So clearly right and left, huh? Because the focus points, the foci, are right and left. So clearly the branches are going right and left, aren't they? And remember, they hit at the vertex, so it must be here. Remember, and the other vertex must be right there at 4, huh? Everybody see how do I know that? Because this one's 1 away, so this one's got to be 1 away, right? And the focus points are always inside, like a receiver's inside a satellite dish, right? Good? So there's that's all I need, nothing more specific than that, because that'll lead me to the generalities of the equation. What do I mean? Well, for example, which letter comes first? Remember, with the hyperbola, since it's subtracted, it matters whether it's x first or y first. So which one's coming first? Yeah, because it's right left. That means x squared first over some number squared. Call it a squared or whatever. Right? Over y squared minus b squared equals 1. I got a lot. That's not the whole thing yet. But that's just, for sure, x is coming first. Good so far? What told me that? The picture. So x is coming first. Next, what we should do is, what do you think? Find the center. It's always, they don't give you the center, you need the center. Now, what's the center of this thing? How do we find the center? So it's the middle of 3 and 9, or 4 and 8, either one. But I'll just take 2 of the numbers they gave me at the start, 3 and 9. Remember, to find the center, you always find the middle of whatever 2 things they give you to the 2 edges. So 3 and 9. What's the middle of 3 and 9? The middle of, how do you find the middle of 2 numbers? Done this a couple times now. You average them, huh? You add them and divide by 2. That's how you find the middle of any 2 things, right? You add them and divide by 2. So 3 plus 9 divided by 2, 12 over 2, 6. So 6, which you might have been able just to eyeball this one, you know. But there's going to be harder ones that you can't eyeball. So you want to know that general game plan. 6 is the middle. It's the center. 6 what, though? We need 2 numbers. Over 6 up 8, huh? Because all this is up 8, isn't it? So the center is 6, 8. Are you with me? Does that make sense how I'm doing that? I'm glad to help. Is there anything I can say to help on that? Does that make sense? Okay, now, so what? I've got the center. Where does that go in the equation? This is the x value of the center, and this is the y value of the center. Remember, it's always opposite in the parentheses in the equation for all the shapes. And that'll never stop being the case, all the way on up through Calculus 3 and beyond. It's always the case. So that means x minus 6 squared, right? Because this is positive 6 here, it's negative 6 in the parentheses. Y minus 8 squared. That's what you always do with the center into the equation, opposite. If this was if this in the center was negative 6, this would be x plus 6 in the equation, wouldn't it? It's always opposite. You guys with me? Right? Because this is a plus 6 plus 8 in the center. Therefore, it's minus 6 minus 8 in the equation. Always the opposite in the equation. Okay? Now, all I got left is to find a and b, and I'll have the equation. How do I find a and b? First off, let's start with a. How are we going to find a? What is a? You got to physically know what these things are. Nothing magical happened by like memorizing formulas or something. You've got to really get it. Like physically, what is a? In this equation, you've got to work until you know that, or nothing good will happen day after tomorrow on that exam. Don't fool yourself. The truth will come out. Hear me on this. You have to work. Go see Roberto. Come see me. Get the help you need. But keep working on these until you look at this and you physically can tell me what A is on that picture. Don't just try to memorize formulas and hope you can like move letters around and something nice will happen. That will not work. There's too many letters, too many formulas. You'll get confused on things. You have to be able to look at an equation and know what it physically means on the picture. So again, I'm saying this because of what I saw yesterday when I gave them the practice. There was just a bunch of kind of looking and sort of guessing at one of those options. That's going to go horrible. That alarmed me for them. So you can't do that, right? You've got to draw a picture. You've got to see something physical and know how this connects to that. So do you know when I say, show me A on that picture, do you have something in your mind? Something you definitely know what A in the equation means physically on that picture. What is it? It's the, remember me emphasizing with all these shapes, hyperbola, parabola, whatever the other one is, all these shapes. Whatever's underneath X is right, left. Whatever's underneath Y is up, down, huh? Okay, so when it's under X, you should be thinking, oh, it's right, left, always from the center, huh? Always from the center. So from the center, and now that I've said all that, what do you think? It's right to the vertex, isn't it? Not the focus point. Well, to the focus point, to this, that's C. C is to the focus point, huh? From center to focus. A and B are centered to the edge of the shape. This one's A because it's right, left, and A is underneath X. So how far is it from here to here? From 6 to 8? Well, that's 2. So we just go, oh, that's just 2 squared. See how if you know physically from the picture, it's an easy question. If you don't know physically from the picture, you're just done. You're just going to guess at the answer. Does everybody see that? So remember, whatever's underneath X is right, left. Y is up, down, to the edge of the shape. From the center to the edge of the shape, right? And C, in these formulas, is how far from the center to the focus points, isn't it? All right, so we got A. How can we get B now? Now B, being underneath Y, is up, down, but look, I don't got anything up, down. You know, from this center, I got nothing but space going up and going down. I don't got any shape. So I cannot physically find B from the picture like I did A, can I? No way to do that. Well, then how am I going to get B? I got nothing up and down. How am I going to get B? B's underneath Y. It's supposed to be up, down, but I got nothing up and down. How am I going to get B? The focus equation, because I do have C. I do have C. C is how far to the focus. Right? So it's the focus equation. A squared, B squared, C squared. Now, you tell me what's in the middle of the focus equation. Is it a plus or is it a minus? Yeah, whatever is in the original, opposite in the focus. Remember, for all these shapes, it's always opposite in the focus equation. There's minus in the original, plus in the focus equation, and vice versa. Okay, so there's the focus equation. Why am I doing that? Because I know C. C is how far from the middle to the focus point. From 6 to 9, which is where the focus point is, right? That's 3. So this is 3 squared. That's C. And I know A squared is 2 squared, right? Because I found it right here. So now I can solve for B. Does that make sense? So this is 4 plus B squared is 9. Therefore, B squared is 5. B is the root of 5. So there we go. So this is the root of 5 squared, which is just 5. You can write it either way. That's the other thing I noticed as I was helping students in my other section of pre-calculus yesterday, is there was a lot of confusion between A and A squared. In other words, see how 2 squared right here? See how this is 4? A lot of students would look at that and they'd think, okay, A is 4. Well, no, that's A squared. A is 2. And then they would misuse that and grab the wrong answer. So to help with that, you know what? Let me encourage. I didn't realize there'd be so much confusion on that. Let me encourage you. Just always write it as squared. I think that'll make it easier for you. Instead of writing 4, just write it as 2 squared. And then I think there'll be no change. You'll just go, oh yeah, A is 2. The whole thing's 2 squared 4. I think that'll keep you straight. I think that'll help. And this one, instead of writing 5, I mean, you can write 5 if you want to, but I think it'll be more helpful to you to just write root 5 squared. Then it'll be clear. Oh, B's root 5. The whole thing is root 5 squared 5. I think you won't mess up as much. That way, if you just always write those bottoms as squares, you know what I mean by that? I think that'll be helpful. For example, on the exam and on the homework, same thing. We'll have problems where it'll say x squared over 9 plus whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I'd have students grab that 9 yesterday when I was helping them. They'd grab that 9 and they go, oh, A is 9. I go, no, A is 3, right? A squared is 9. And there's like, so what I'm saying is you get a question like that on the practice exam today, just rewrite that as 3 squared right away. Just, if they give it to you 9, you just rewrite it for yourself as 3 squared, and I think that'll help you. You won't get messed up. Make sense on that? So there's the equation. Like good, you can sense my alarm. This test levels people. I'm trying to scare you towards what is good for you. So that's not unkind fear, right? That's appropriate fear. There's a lion in that cage. Don't play in that cage. That's not unloving to tell people that, not to play in the lion cage at the zoo. So that's what I'm doing here, right? I'm trying to say, guys, this levels people. It takes hours. There's no shortcuts. You got to spend hours working with these hyperbolas, parabolas, ellipses. You really do, to get all these little details down. So I hope you do. I hope you're successful. All right, we good on that one? Questions I can answer on that one? Yeah, Samantha.
The 2 squared again, how did you get that?
Yeah, good question. I looked at the picture and I said, since it's under X, I'm sure other people have a question too. So it's under X, right? So whatever's under X is right, left from the center. That's what A and B are. When you're under X, you're right, left from the center. When you're under Y, you're up, down from the center. So here's the center. How far right to where? To the edge of the picture. To the edge right here, to the vertex. So how far from 6, 8 to this point, which is what? From 6 to 8. They originally told me that the vertex was at 8, and I had already found the center was at 6. So I said, oh, that's 2. So that's how. That's a good question. Everybody good with that? So whatever's underneath X is right, left from the center. Y is up, down. I couldn't see anything up, down, though, so that's why I had to use the focus equation to find the up, down. Because there's nothing physically up, down. So I couldn't do that for up, down, but I certainly did it for right, left. Is that good? You can master this, but not without hours. Me too. I had to spend hours. This didn't, again, don't believe that little rumor that there's just math people and there's just not math people. Sure, there's some of that, of course. But I'm a math person. I always was from a young age. I liked and was successful at math. But I'm telling you, I spent hours and hours and hours. I did every homework problem. I went over and over and over and saw my teacher all the time. That's what it took for me, a math person, to master this stuff when I was a student in it. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. All right. Okay. So there we go. They're telling me 2 vertices, and they're telling me an asymptote line. So go ahead, draw it as you got to draw something, huh? You got to draw. There's no way this is going to be solved without a drawing. Mainly just those 2 vertices. I don't need to put you don't need to do anything with the asymptote line. Just forget about the asymptote line for now. Bless you. Just put those 2 vertices on a graph and see if you can find the center. That's always what we need, huh? Is the center. So let's do that. see, I'll put it over here. So back 4, down 5. Boom, right there, and over 8. Down 5. So there's the 2 vertices. So right away we know, well, let me give you a second. You'll get a little more out of it. We don't have a lot of seconds, but I do want to give you, should be getting more out of it. So see if you can find the center, and then also write the general equation. Like, is it right, left, or up, down? Is X first or Y first? That kind of thing. Put the center in there. All right, so we know it's somewhere on this down 5 line, huh? Everything's on the down 5 line. So where exactly on the down 5 line? Well, this one's back 4, and this one's over 8. So basically, we need to find the middle of -4 and +8. You with me? So how do you find the middle? Well, you know you add them and divide by 2. That's how you find the middle of 2 numbers. So that's 4 over 2, +2. So right here at +2, and of course, down 5. Over 2, down 5 is the center. Are we good there? Can you find those centers? Okay, now which way do the branches go? Well, they go from the vertices right and left, clearly. Like that. Okay. So now can you write the equation? So go ahead and write the general, write as much as you can. You can write everything but A and B at this point. So write out the general template, the general setup of the equation. Remember, the center turns into opposite in the equation, in the parentheses with X and Y, right? So this is X, this is Y for the center. So it'll become X minus 2 squared over, oh, and it's X, it's right, left, so it's going to be X's in the front, isn't it? If the hyperbola goes up, down, then you put Y squared in the front. Remember, the order matters for the hyperbola, because you have a minus in between. Whenever you have subtraction, it matters who's first and second. If you have 2 things added, who cares? Right? Order of adding never matters. But order of subtraction matters. So if the branches go right, left, X squared's in the front. If the branches go up, down, Y squared's in the front. So I'm putting X in the front. And this would be Y plus 5 squared. Because, again, opposite of -5. Right? We good so far? Now, can you find the A or the B? Let me give you just a second. Can you find, do it just like we did it a minute ago. Don't worry about the asymptote equation. We're about to use it, but not yet. You can get the A or the B without the asymptote equation. Just looking at the picture. Physically, it's right on the picture. So remember, whatever's underneath X is right, left, from the center, huh? So how far from the center to the edge? How far from 2 to 8? Well, 6. And that's right, left. So that's underneath X. 6 squared. We good? Everybody good? Now, how are we going to get B? Any ideas? We can't, that's up, down, but we don't have anything up, down on the picture. Hyperbolas only go one way. So there's no way physically from the picture to get B, because I don't have anything physically up, down on the picture. So I can't get it from the picture. And now it's time to turn our attention to the asymptote line equation right here. And the Y plus 5, well, of course, that's just Y plus 5 from the equation. X minus 2, well, of course, that's just X minus 2 from the equation. But here's the part I want to deal with. 7 over 6. Remember, that's the slope, right? That's the slope in the front. That's rise over run. Rise is what's under Y. 7 squared. And the run is right here, 6 squared is under x. Right? Rise is up, down. So it's under y. There it is. We're done. That's all we need from the asymptote equation is that 7 being a rise, being what's under y. Is that good? Seem possible? Can you do that for the big points on Thursday? Questions I can answer? Do you like these? Yeah.
So is it just coincidence that on the asymptote, the 6 is on the bottom and also goes underneath x?
No, yeah, no coincidence. Absolutely important. Rise, because slope is rise over run. Run is sideways movement. That's always what's under x. Yeah, good question. And rise is always what's on the top of the slope, and that's always what's y, because y is up, down. Yeah, no coincidence. Always going to be that way. Rise over run. Rise is the y. Run is the x. Got to be. What's that? Mm-hmm.
You know how y plus 5 is it always going to be opposite?
Yeah, oh yeah, good question. Yeah, the asymptote line equation is always exactly what's in it was opposite of the center, but probably easier, just take exactly what you have in your equation.
Oh, okay.
Y plus 5 here, y plus 5 there, x minus 2 here, x minus 2 there. It's identical every time. Why? Because the center of the asymptotes has been moved to the center of the circle, right? Here's the center of the two asymptote lines now. Where? At the center. So it's opposite, opposite. In any equation. Our main equation, our asymptote line equation, any equation, when you move the center, we learned about that early on in the course, right? It's opposite, opposite in the equations. Absolutely. So all this math coming together, maybe? We've learned a lot of math. 21's the hardest one. All right, so let's try that one. So that's the completing the square thing, right? You have to give it a new look. Let me dive in and help you. Remember, you have to first organize the x's with the x's, leave a blank, and the y's with the y's, and then leave a blank, the minus 225 on the other side. Does everybody see what I did first off? See, remember my goal. My goal is eventually to have some kind of x plus 3 squared and some kind of y minus, whatever. I don't know what the numbers will be. You know, some kind of number, It's to give it that look, right? I got to remove the wrinkles, give it a new look, a little plastic surgery here, without changing any of the values. Give it a new look. Make it look like this because we need this to graph, don't we? We need it to look like that. We can't graph from the way it is right now. We have to change the way it looks. Okay, that's called completing the square, making it into a square. All right. What do you remember about that? Let me let you take a step or two, and then I'll jump in. So first you got to factor. Remember that? We got to take the 9 out. Remember, before you do the magic number thing, the completing number, you got to factor. And then you got to take a minus out of these guys. Remember what happens when you do the minus? The sign's reversed. That gets a lot of people, messes them up. So everybody see that? You see when I took that minus out of the minus in the front of the y squared needs to be factored out, that changes the signs. Right? Why? Because remember from algebra, if you'd redistributed that, it would go back, wouldn't it? It's correct. Everybody remember that from algebra? Maybe not. Are you getting it now, maybe? Everybody see that? Now, you got to figure out the special number thing, don't you? See if you can get that. There's a completing number that needs to be put in those parentheses. How do we find the completing number? I'm going to pass this out to save time while we're working here. So how do you find the completing number? What do you do? Tell me somebody knows. I'm going to cry here if nobody knows. Somebody knows, right? Yeah, middle number over 2, quantity squared, right? So take that 10, put it over 2, 35, square it, 25. 25, but where do you put it? You put it in the parentheses, in the x, 25, and then you've got to realize, what did you just do to the left side by sticking the 25 under the influence of a 9? You just influenced the left side by 9 25s. 9 quarters is $2.25. So So you got to add 225, coincidentally, to the right side as well. Everybody see that? You put 25 in the parentheses of the x and 225 on the right side, because then you're really doing the same thing to both sides. Right? Everybody tracking with me? Right, so we take this 10, which it's always middle number over 2 squared. That's always how we find the completing number. So 10 over 2 squared, 5 squared, 25. So it's always positive. The completing number is always positive because it comes from being squared, even if it was negative to begin with. It's squared at the end. So 25, but that's really not just 25. If I was to multiply this back out, there would be a brand spanking new 9 times 25 there that was never there before. So you got to do that, which is 225. 9 quarters, $2.25, right? You got to add that to the other side as well. So I've really done the same thing to both sides. Good? Now how about the y? What's the y completing number? Same thing, yeah, negative 10 over 2 squared, negative 5 squared, again, positive 25. Okay, so I put positive 25 in the parentheses. But what have I really done to the left side? Yeah, if this negative redistributed, there'd really be a brand spanking new negative 25 there that was never there before. So you've got to really do negative 25 on the other side so that you're truly doing the same thing to both sides. Does everybody see that? See how we're just following the truth? Wherever it may lead? All right, so now we factor. So this is x plus 5 squared. This is y minus 5 squared. These cancel, and this is minus 25. We good to there so far? All right, now what do? Take another step. This is where it gets a little tricky here too. Pass out part 2 now. So what you got to do is you got to get a 1 on the right side, right? So you got to divide through by negative 25. Everybody doing that? Divide through by negative 25, making a positive 1 on the right side. And then there's some weird stuff on the left side. Can you clean up the equation on the left side? That's the trick, and why I wanted to show you this one in particular. So divide through by negative 25, like that. This is 1. Now what's the other side? Now here's where people get confused. What do you do with negatives in a fraction? Well, if they're on the bottom of a fraction, you can just pull them to the front. Bottom, just pull them to the front. So what does that mean? I've got negative 9 x plus 5 squared over 25. And then here, 2 negatives. Y minus 5 squared over 25. We good to there? Everybody see what's going on with the minuses and everything? So 2 minuses, right? The one from the bottom came right out here. There's 2, so you know what that's going to do. It's going to be positive. So in other words, the y is going to suddenly switch and go to the front. I want you to see this. This is the only one that does that. Because he becomes the positive, and he's the negative now. Do you see that trickery? See what happened? Why did that happen? Because we divided by a negative. When you divide by a negative, everybody's signs change. That means it switches who's positive, who's negative, thus who's in the front, who's in the back. You guys with me? You see that? This is the only one that does this. I didn't want you to be thrown off. So in the next step then, if that's okay, I'm going to say, what am I going to say? I'm going to put this guy, well, I'll write minus 9x plus 5 squared over 25 plus y minus 5 squared over 25 is 1, right? Plus, yeah. Right, that's right. Okay, so I got that, right, to there. And then switch the order. Put the y minus 5 squared first, minus the other one. Good to there? They switch orders because you always put the positive one first. So that means the branches on this, when we come to graphing it, how are the branches going to go? Right, left, or up, down? It's going to be up, down because y is in the front now. Everybody see that difference? Anyway, one last thing. I'm not supposed to have a 9 up here. You're just supposed to have numbers down below. Not up there. That's the other trickery on this one. I must make it look different without being different. Otherwise, I'll have no idea what's down here. It's not just 25. I got to do something about that 9. I'm not supposed to have it up there. What could I do?
Put 9 divided by 25 under equals 1.
Yeah, you could just divide top and bottom by 9. Boom. So I just divided top and bottom of that fraction. I did the same thing to the top and bottom. So now it is x plus 5 squared over 25 ninths. Y minus 5 squared over 25 equals 1. Now it has the right look. We could graph it. I'm not going to take time to do it. You could all do it at this point. I would write this as 5 squared, to help yourself out. I would write this as 5/3 squared. And away you go. You could graph it from here now, right? We got it having the right look, so it's now graphable. Everybody okay with that? That's as hard as they get. That's the worst one. Everybody see what I did? I can't have a number up here, so I divided top and bottom by 9. So there's no number in the top now. There's only a number in the bottom. So there we go. All right. You can do this, but it's not going to come unless you give it hours of your life. It demands it. So I hope you do.